about pops.
All right. Wait, is it to spread the good news about pops? I thought it was stopping pops.
The good news about pops awareness.
Oh, okay. I thought we were trying to stop pops. I don't even know what pops is.
Stop the pops.
Stop the pops. But we were having a brief conversation before we came on air and before we came live, and one of it was, what was the first thing that came to your mind when you heard the word pops? DJ X, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
Food.
Food.
Yeah, I don't know, for some reason, like, you know, you pop Pringles can.
Once you pop, you can't stop.
You hear the pop. And I was thinking popcorn for some
I don't even know how you heard a pop in the Pringles, because, you know, I open my Pringles like a regular person.
No, well, I actually squeezed the can.
That is...
So it's like, yeah.
That's more like a crack. But anyway.
But
Yasmin did mention soda pop.
Yeah, when I first heard of pops, I think of soft drinks.
right?
Pop sodas.
Okay. When I heard pops, I was thinking of the sound. The you see that sound? That's what I was thinking, because every time I record something, Nigel always has to say, Chelsea, why is there so many pops when you say your P's? Yes. What was your first reaction?
Well, I mean, I thought a surprise, party, excitement, you know, so not something that's necessarily associated with what we're coming to find out right now. So pops really means, Yasmin, tell us.
Okay, so POPs stands for persistent organic pollutants.
Right.
Now, these are a very special group of chemicals, and they're special because they have been manufactured and find applications in a lot of useful things. But because of their properties, some properties which I'm going to explain to you in a minute, because of some of these properties, we have reason to be concerned about being exposed to those pops. Okay, so as I said, they're chemicals. They're mainly of carbon. That is why they're called organic chemicals.
Right.
They're called pollutants because when they get into the environment, they can harm humans as well as wildlife. Okay? So some of their properties that cause concern for us, once they get into the environment, they remain for a very, very, very long time. And that's because there's no known natural process that breaks these chemicals down.
Okay.
So that is why they are persistent. Okay?
All right.
They're very, very mobile, which means that they can be transported over very long distances through air currents as well as ocean currents. So even if a particular country may not produce or even use pops containing materials within their borders, the fact that they are highly mobile means that they can get from one place to another. Okay?
All right.
So we've learned that they persist
In our environment.
They are, one of the first things I spoke about is their toxicity. I didn't use that word, but I said they're very harmful.
Right.
Which means that they can harm human health, they can be a danger to our health, as well as to that of wildlife, animals in our environment. Okay, so we spoke about transport. They also accumulate in the fatty tissue of animals. Okay, so for example, in humans, in our breasts are very fatty tissue. And
right.
in one of our other programs, when we talk about exposure and the effects, we will learn that young children are particularly vulnerable to the effects of this because they may be exposed through breast milk.
Oh, really?
Right. Also, fish that are very fatty, that have a lot of fatty tissue, will also accumulate or store these chemicals in their tissue. Now, the other thing that happens as we move, you know that in our environment, living things depend on each other for energy. Things feed on each other. For example, the food chain, the food web. So a food web or food chain always begins with a plant. The plant is eaten by an animal, for example, the cow. So if my grass is contaminated with pops, my cow
is now contaminated.
Going to eat that contaminated grass, and it's going to have some pops being stored in its fat.
So the cow that I'm now going to eat
And then so if the cow
Is contaminated.
exactly, so if the cow had
I really like beef.
so if the grass had 5 grams of that, when the cow gets it, it accumulates in the cow, so it now becomes, say, 10 grams. So by the time Jessie has her beef or her pork,
This
it
Christmas.
right, it might just be 20 grams. So you see, as we move up the food chain,
It becomes
it
higher.
becomes, the concentration becomes
Okay.
higher. So
Wow.
we call this
But-
biomagnification. So so we spoke about 2 things. They bioaccumulate. They accumulate in the fatty tissue of organisms,
Right.
and they biomagnify. As you move up the food chain, the concentration gets higher in the organism's body.
Now, what are some of the I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? What contains these things, the pops? Where can we, I guess, find these pops?
Well, so Yasmin, you spoke about at least the organic process involved, but there are also industrial processes.
Exactly.
And human
So
activity.
They look everywhere.
Right.
Where you least expect them, okay? So, as I said, we can be exposed in food. For example, if food is grown in soils that have been contaminated with these chemicals, because some pops are pesticides. I'm sure you've heard of chlordecane and what's happening in Martinique.
Yeah.
It's causing reproductive disorders and cancers in men. So that is an example of a pop.
Right.
So that's one way you can be exposed through food, inhalation, breathing in contaminated air. A lot of us, I know it's Christmas time, right? And some of us want to get rid of all our rubbish or things that we're cleaning up.
Spring cleaning in December.
Exactly. And we're too lazy or to wait. We don't want to wait for the garbage
For
truck
solid waste.
for solid waste. Or, if we have too much and we figure we'll just burn it. Now that is another source. Open burning of waste is another source of releasing those into the environment, okay? Because a lot of the products that we use, for example, our electronics, our mobile phones, our TVs, these have in them POPs chemicals. These chemicals are added to these products to make them flame retardant. By this I mean to make them less likely to catch on fire.
Right.
Okay? So when we mix those things with our waste and we burn it, and certain plastics, we are releasing POPs into the environment.
Oh, good.
We are exposing ourselves through food. For example, some plastics contain POPs. Some frying pans, especially, that contain some of those non-stick pans that we like to use, they also contain POPs. They are coated with chemicals that contain POPs.
And bulbs and paints.
Some paints, some adhesives. Also, but fortunately for St. Lucia, we've recently done work on inventory. Transformers use that for power generation, as well as capacitors contain a group of POPs called PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls. That's a long word.
Okay.
And they when those equipment come out of commission, and they're stored, it can leak and get into the soil and into the system. But fortunately for us, we found out through recent analysis that Loose-Leck is considered PCB free.
Okay. Yay, Lucy, yay.
The transformers, although in use, the transformers can become contaminated with PCBs. As I said, some sealants, some paints and other things have PCBs and they can get into there. So yes, these are firefighting foams, for example, that we use on the airports for in the event of a fire with aircraft, etc. Our stock, we know, contains a group of POPs.
Right.
Okay, and that's PFOS, PFAS. Don't ask me to remember the wrong chemical name, but suffice it to say that they are good surfactants, which means they allow the foam, the foaming properties and the wetting properties of the foam. That's why they've been added. But thankfully, St. Lucia is working now to phase out the use of these kinds of foams. So yes, we've seen that we can be exposed to POPs through a number of ways. A lot of consumer items, through industrial processes. We don't have so many industrial processes that release them as byproducts. One of these would be metal production. But what is important for us, because 70% of our POPs releases comes from open burning.
Yeah.
So that is one thing we need to remember this Christmas. We are getting rid of our garbage. We need to ensure that we take them to the landfill so that they're managed properly and that we don't burn, especially plastics.
Okay, so
Right.
Yasmin, you mentioned the work that's happening at the national level in terms of policy and stuff too, and now at a lower level when it comes to individuals making changes. You mentioned
Choices.
less open burning or none at all, hopefully, and other interventions that persons can do at the household level. What else can people do to reduce emission of POPs in St. Lucia at a household level? We have Google. We have, access to so much information globally now. We can make better choices when we're making purchases online and so on.
Exactly. And one of the things that I forgot to say to you, it's Christmas time and we're all changing our drapes. We're changing our soft furnishings, and these are sources of POPs as well, especially carpets, older carpets.
Right.
These contain POPs. Some textiles are treated, so again that they're less likely to catch fire. Some of the drapes that we use are treated with those POPs, but it's difficult for us to know which ones, okay, because they're not labeled properly, and that is one of the things at a global level we're working towards.
Okay.
Getting things labeled properly, because some manufacturers don't like to say what's in their stuff, but you can't go wrong when you choose natural fibers. You choose cotton, you choose linen, you can't go wrong. So these are some of the things you can think of. And for more detailed information, you can visit www.stopthepops.com. So what did I say it was, Chelsea?
www.stopthepops.com.
Excellent. And you get a lot more information on sources of POPs and a lot more detail on what they are.
All right, beautiful. Now we've learned what POPs are. We've learned what can expose us to POPs. And earlier you said that they were originally intended for, good purposes, good use. A lot of it is to prevent fire, flammable substances, to prevent pests from destroying your food source for your animals.
Correct.
But now it's basically just run rampant. We've spoken about getting it at a national level as well as a household level. But for people who are, let's say, just unfamiliar, they're just unfamiliar and they need probably a little pool airs or something, let's just let them know that, hey, we are trying our best to deal with this, but we need your help in dealing with it.
Exactly. And one of the ways is to keep informed, to be curious, to learn. I've said before that you can check out the website www.stopthepops.com. You could also call the Department of Sustainable Development at 468-5818 for more information, and we'll be happy to have a chat with you. If there are any children of school age listening, we're very happy, to make presentations to your class, to your school, to teach you more about it. But the point is, while the world is looking to get rid of these substances, the problem is they have been used in the past, and we learned that they do not break down naturally. They persist. So, for example, some of you may be old enough to remember the spraying planes that we used to use. I used to be terrified of these the banana planes. They often dusted the crops with DDT, which is a pesticide, a POP pesticide. DDT was also useful in World War II. It was used to treat malaria. So for mosquito control, and in some parts of Africa it is still used for malaria control. So these regions that were in the agricultural belts in St. Lucia, there's a possibility that we have contamination of our soils. Also in areas where we have stored those types of chemicals. So what the Department of Sustainable Development is doing, we're working to identify potentially contaminated sites, and we are currently undertaking risk assessments to find out how contaminated they are, and what is the risk to human health. Are people likely to be very affected or not, and what do we need to do to clean up? So you could play your part by first being informed, understanding what these chemicals are, where they come from, the sources, and how you may be exposed. We will talk about exposure and all the effects of details on the effects of these chemicals on you as individuals, and what it can mean for our society if a lot of us are falling ill with this. There are social costs as well.
Right.
So we will talk about that in subsequent broadcasts. So Stop the Pops, www.stopthepops.com.
All right.
Just before we continue, just want to say that's why we're here, to spread the word. And this is really the launch of the Stop the Pops campaign here in St. Lucia. It's part of a region-wide effort in terms of awareness for persistent organic pollutants. And we're here to spread the word. We're here to let persons in on what is happening. So this is just the beginning. And hopefully as we go into 2022, we can let persons know more and more of what's happening. We've also partnered with agencies like the St. Lucia Solid Waste Management Authority. So it is wide, and the engagement of stakeholders is wide in terms of getting a handle and changing the attitudes of St. Lucians with respect to the emission of POPs here on island.
All right. Beautiful. And of course, I will be trying to find out if my insecticide has POPs in it, because I want to be hailing that. I really would.
Okay, well, I can say to you that the pesticides that we use for insect control in our homes do not contain POPs.
Oh, thank God. Yay.
We would have used those in the past,
Right.
but now we have legislation, our Pesticides and Toxic Chemicals Act.
Right.
Okay. It prohibits the import of certain POPs. Not all of them are covered, because there are about 30 known POPs initially when these things were discovered, and there was global concern, and we had a lot of international work on this. There were only 12, called the Dirty Dozen, and they were
Dirty
Wow.
dozen.
Dirty dozen.
The Dirty Dozen, and they were primarily pesticides.
All right.
But now, as we do research, as scientists find out more, we are now from 2002 to almost 2022. We now have 30 chemicals.
30 chemicals.
So some of them, lindane is one that had been used for the treatment of head lice. A lot of treatments for head lice contain lindane.
Wow.
But a lot of these things have now been restricted and no longer used. But as I said, we may be surrounded by them because of past use. And what's important is that we refrain from open burning. I think that's the take-home message.
All right.
We
So
think
today,
we pollute the place when we throw our box juice somewhere or whatever, but we pollute when we let emissions like POPs into the atmosphere that are harmful to the environment, harmful to our organism.
handful
That's
to us.
pollution. It's
That
really
is pollution, guys.
Pollution.
Okay, so
So there is there a fine for open burning?
Yes, there is legislation associated with that. Something that was
I
very
think
contentious last year.
Yeah, I think the fire service has
Yeah.
some oversight on that.
All right. Well, I'm calling the fire department if I even see smoke.
We can confirm for you guys. We'll do come back next week.
Next week,
to let you guys
exactly
know.
what it is.
All right. Beautiful.
So I have a question. How is the how it is, like, what is the procedure to get rid of waste that has POPs in it? Like, how to deal with waste that has POPs?
Okay. The ideal thing to do would be, first you have to know what products may contain POPs. For example, Lucelec knows that transformers, although when they buy them they are considered PCB free, they may be contaminated. They have their own management plan for ensuring that before they dispose of them, that they're POPs free, they're stored properly so that they don't leak, anything doesn't leak. So proper storage. But segregation at the household level, it's knowing how to segregate your waste. But unfortunately, we are not yet at the point where we segregate. Okay, so that is something that we need to do to, for example, our old electronics, our old textiles, and all of these, we need not to mix them with all of household waste. and take them separately so that at the landfill the expertise is there to deal with the proper disposal of these items.
I'm kind of guilty of that, you know.
All right.
'Cause
You
I-
saying
I
you?
just-
So please,
I just move and I literally put electronics together with like normal waste.
well, it's normal practice. We do have a number of recyclers or hazardous material handlers on island who would be happy to take some plastics, metals. They may take white goods and electronic goods, and that is one way to help. But we can segregate.
In the ideal sustainable world, that's what it would be. Segregation of your waste. In fact,
Okay.
zero waste. So reusing of items
As much as possible,
yeah.
correct.
Proper facilities for that. And St. Lucia is one of the islands that have made a commitment to, the 2030 landfill free. It's, proper disposal of the waste, reusing where possible. That is the ultimate goal. This work and other work of the Department of Sustainable Development together with other agencies, that is the ultimate goal. But for
Awesome.
now, step by step, drip by drip makes the
Drip by
difference.
drip, and we do have a national implementation plan for eliminating and phasing out POPs in St. Lucia, and more of that will come in our campaigns that are going to be rolled out in 2022. But if you want information on this, you can call us at 468-5818. What was that, Chelsea?
468-5618.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, I was never good at numbers. I don't even know our WhatsApp platform's number. I do know the website though. I can tell you that.
Tell
It's
us.
www.stopthepops.com. I
Yeah.
got that
That's easy. That's an easy thing.
But
in
in addition to the awareness that we have campaign, it's wrapped up beautifully with some giveaways that we want to give out
And
for the duration of this program.
We
Guys,
have
you heard that?
giveaways this
Giveaways.
morning, okay? So I hope each and every one of you were listening. We have a giveaway this morning. It's an amazing prize. Let me tell you. Top prize. I won that prize for myself, but I cannot participate. But yes, we do have a prize for you guys this morning. The number to call is 453-3911. That is the correct number. 453-3911. And of course, either Yasmin or Jesse will ask you a question, and if you answer that question correctly, the prize is yours.
Simple as that.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. If you've been
If
listening for
you're
the last
listening, it's
30
easy.
minutes, yo, it's a go. It's a go.
It's a go.
So,
So
Jesse, you want to tell us?
I think we could ask, what are two manners in which pops can be emitted? Two
okay,
sources of pops, yeah?
right.
Two sources of POPs.
And just want to let you know what the price is. We want to give away a blender today. An Oster
Ooh.
blender.
An Oster
Now, when
blender.
we said Christmas,
I
stop the
will-
pops this Christmas,
I
we
will
want
need
to
a
draw
blender.
awareness to this situation, and it's a time when people, like we said, are cleaning out house and they're doing what they have to do. We want to remind you of open burning, the dangers associated, but we also want to help you spruce up by putting in new nice things. So the Oster blender is one of the ways in which through the Stop the Pops campaign, you can win, you can enjoy, you can remember, associate that blender when you're looking at it, or when you blend in your smoothies.
All right, we
June
have
next year, you remember
All right.
persistent organic pollutants.
That is correct. We
Yeah.
have a call.
So when you make your smoothest pops, remember our pops.
We have a call.
Yes, we do. Let me just press the button here. Yes. Oh, I could have done it so. Hi, good morning. Okay, we lost that call.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we lost that call. You guys can call again. It's 453-3911. Call us to win your prize.
So two ways in which pops can be emitted into the atmosphere. Yeah? So like we said earlier, we want you to pay attention to persistent organic pollutants. It is important because the risks are great, and sometimes we think of environmental issues, Yasmin, as something that is distant from our
from us,
understanding, highfalutin, long-winded phrases and so on. But it's something that can affect us, our organism, our bodies, our families.
Our health.
We stand to
And
have.
not just today, but you'll find out long term. We
Exactly.
may be exposed now and not feel any effects, but later on when we're developing unusual cancers or we give birth to children with certain birth defects, we wonder why. So let's do our part, learn more about pops, and change our choices in what we buy. Learn more about products before we buy them, and dispose of our garbage correctly, because burning really.
Ooh. Oh, we lost that one too.
Let's hope we get somebody.
Let's hope. We will.
We really need to give somebody this prize today. We starting the Christmas today on Real FM.
Guys,
Lovely blender.
please ensure that you have enough credit.
Wow, Shane.
Yeah, it could be that. It could be
It
that.
could be. It could be.
Shots fired.
Because that is a lot of shots fired. Okay, let's do this. Or maybe I'm not quick enough. Maybe it's that. Real FM, good morning. I beg your pardon.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good day.
Yes, good day.
Yes.
All right. So, are you calling to win that blender?
Yes, I am.
Think you have the answer for me?
Well, the question, what's the question?
All right. So, can you repeat the question?
What are two ways then that POPs, persistent organic pollutants, can be emitted in the air? So two activities, two ways in which it can happen.
I can barely hear you, huh?
What
Okay.
are two ways in which POPs can be emitted into the atmosphere?
What's that pot?
Pops. What are two ways pops can be emitted into the atmosphere?
Of course.
Well, sir, if you were listening to us, you would have get the point, right?
P-O-P-S. Pops.
T-O-P-S.
Yes.
No, P-O-P-S. P, not T.
O-P-S.
So, sir,
Persistent organic pollutants.
I take it you weren't listening earlier, or else you would have had that. I'm sure you don't know the answer yet. Because
It's persistent organic pollutant.
All right.
okay.
Okay, you have that. Now we want to know two ways in which it can be emitted
or release
or released
into
into the
environment.
atmosphere.
It can be... Okay, from smoking?
That's
Yes,
correct.
yes,
Cigarette
smoke.
Smoking, pollutants, that is, pollutants. Like, for instance, is the aerosol or whatever.
You said aerosol or whatever.
Aerosol?
No, he has to be more specific, sir. What
Okay,
kind
you-
of aerosol? What kind of product?
What type of, that is the, okay, is that the toilet aerosol or the bacon, or releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere?
That's not the answer we're looking for, sir.
So you need to try again. The number.
Try again.
Try again. The number to call is 453-3911. Try again. The question is, what are two ways in which pops can be emitted into our atmosphere? Real FM, good day.
Environment. Not
Environment.
the atmosphere. Not
Hi, good morning. Hello.
Yes. Hello. Good morning.
Okay, so I think smoking is one, and burning of like wood and trees.
not quite. No, not wooden trees.
Yeah, but you're on the
But
right path.
you're burning.
Getting
Yeah,
hotter.
you're hot,
Burning.
you're hot.
You're warm.
You're cooking with gas.
You're cooking with gas. Give us the answer.
Okay, so let me see. Burning
Open burning, but not of trees.
Okay. What are you saying, caller?
I said like tires or toxic rubber, them kind of thing.
Correct.
Correct.
So that's one. Give us another way
She
in
said
which
smoking.
smoking. Okay.
Yes.
Well, congratulations to you.
You've won yourself a wonderful Oster blender.
All right.
Wait.
Department of Sustainable Development and the Stop the Pops campaign.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
All right. So, caller, what we need is your name, and we'll take your number off air. So, just give me your name, please.
Can I take my name off air as well?
It would be nice, you know, for the participation to know who won the prize and who made you a winner. Yeah. I don't think your boss listening.
Can I
What's
give
her
an
name?
alias?
You want to give an alias?
Yes.
I'll take the alias. Give me your Facebook name.
I got Facebook.
The alias is fine.
Okay, Annie.
Annie. Okay, Annie.
Annie calling from? Annie, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Sunny Acres.
Area north, south, east, west of the
She's
island?
calling from Sunny Acres.
Acres. Wow. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so we have our winner this morning, Annie. Annie won herself an Oster Blender Compliment Sustainable Department in their Stop the Pops campaign. Ladies, it was a pleasure having you here. I can't wait to see what you guys are going to bring to us next week. Yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys are going to bring to us next week.
Even
and of
better.
course, we did speak. Our takeaway message today was open burning. We
Yeah.
need to reduce the open burning situation and dispose of our waste correctly.
Absolutely. And, you know, we heard some responses from the callers about cigarette smoke and also, you know, there's also vehicle exhaust and
Exactly.
power generation. All of these are ways that we will delve into in the next 4 weeks or so to really let the public in on how they, being aware of POPs and how they can play their part from the household level.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure. I
Thank
can't
you,
wait to have you guys
listeners.
back here next week. I need more of this. I like this awareness because now I could make an informed decision when I'm buying something or when I'm about to let go of something, when I'm about to throw away something, or if I could reuse it as best as I
That's
can.
where the world is going. Before people make purchases, they read up on the company, they want to know if it's
About the product,
sustainably
what's in
sourced,
it,
everything.
What's in it.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
when you buy on your pan set, please find out if it's non-stick. Try to find out as much of it as possible. Well, I personally don't use them, but it's your choice. You are informed. You know what to look out for. So we encourage you to have a Pops free Christmas.
All right.